You need to hear this immediately. No warm-up, no comfort. Money doesn't know who you are. It doesn't recognize your effort. It doesn't respond to intention, patience, ethics, or belief in fairness. Those things exist only in your mind. To money, you are anonymous. That anonymity isn't an insult. It's the operating rule of the system. Money has no emotions, no memory, no judgment. It doesn't reward, it moves, cold, precise. Money flows like electricity through circuits built long before your feelings entered the room. It follows the path of least resistance towards structures designed to hold it. You can scream at electricity. You can explain how hard you tried. You can demand fairness. It will still move through the conductor, not through you. Structure is the conductor. Most people refuse to accept this their entire lives, because the moment they do, a very comfortable illusion collapses. The illusion that money is personal. That if they become good enough, disciplined enough, deserving enough, money will eventually notice them. It won't. Money was never about whether you're enough. It's about where you're standing. Most people aren't poor because they lack value. They're poor because they're not connected to the structure that retains value. They stand near money, work around it, touch it briefly. But they don't sit inside the architecture that makes money stay. So money runs through them like water through open fingers, felt but never accumulated. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Income and assets are not two levels of the same game. They're outcomes of two different positions. Income is paid for participation. Assets are retained by position. Income needs your presence. Assets persist when you disappear. The system is designed to let many people participate, while only a few positions are allowed to accumulate. No conspiracy required. Efficiency alone explains it. Structure beats effort. You can be the hardest working person in a weak position and retain nothing. Meanwhile, a mediocre person standing in the right structural position can harvest value continuously with almost no visible struggle. That's why money keeps moving when certain people vanish. People are temporary. Structure is durable. If you leave and the system collapses, you had leverage. If you leave and the system adapts instantly, you were just an input. And money doesn't reward inputs, it rewards bottlenecks. From this moment on, remove every moral fantasy you have about money, not to become worse, but to see clearly. Money isn't cruel, it's precise. And if you're not inside the structure money is forced to pass through, then no matter how hard you try, it will keep flowing, just not toward you. The core illusion, the illusion chaining you to your position, isn't, "I'm not good enough." It's subtler. It's the belief that money responds to people, that if you improve long enough, the system will open its doors. That story exists to keep everything stable, because someone who believes in personal effort won't question structure. They stay busy perfecting themselves while the architecture of power remains untouched. You were taught to become valuable. No one taught you where to stand, so that value is retained. That is the blind spot at the center of modern financial thinking. Money doesn't ask how much value you carry. It asks where you stand in the flow. You can bring a warehouse of capability, but if you're outside the structure that holds value, that warehouse gets used, then disappears. This illusion survives because it gives dignity. It lets you believe that if you're not wealthy yet, it's because you're not enough yet. It converts a structural problem into a personal one. Br, and the system loves that. Someone who blames himself won't challenge the game. He won't ask why money keeps flowing to the same positions. He won't study control points. He'll keep optimizing effort inside a frame that was already sealed. Here is the truth. Bar structure isn't designed to distribute evenly. It's designed to concentrate outcomes. Br, markets. Br, corporations. Platforms. Br, governments. Br. Cash flow moves upward, inward, toward points of control. This isn't greed, it's physics. Money runs toward decision rights. You see this every day. Bar workers create value. Owners retain IT. Br. Creators produce content. Platforms control distribution. Bar. Operators handle complexity. Financiers control capital. In every case, money doesn't follow contribution. Bar. It follows control at the root. The most dangerous illusion is believing that understanding the rules will earn fairness. Understanding doesn't create position, it only makes it obvious that you're outside. 2. Most people choose not to look. They cling to effort, skill, motivation, because those don't force them to face the hardest question. Why am I not inside the structure that holds money? Money doesn't care about you. Isn't an insult, it's an instruction, It tells you the problem was never worthiness, but it was placement. Until you detach from the personal story and stare directly at the architecture of power, money will keep doing what it always does, but flow with perfect obedience to structure, ignoring every effort that isn't anchored to position. The poor mechanism bear. The poor mechanism isn't lack of money, it's being trapped in a structure where effort leaks. The structurally poor do everything right. They learn more, perform better, increase output. But every improvement only makes them a more efficient input in a system not designed to retain value for them. They raise capacity without changing position. And in money terms, raising capacity in the wrong position only makes the flow move faster, not stay. The system rewards them just enough to hide the trap: higher pay, more responsibility, more recognition, all inside a ceiling. Money passes through them, not into them. Income rises. Position doesn't. The poor mechanism optimizes traits that machines love: reliability, diligence, obedience, perfect qualities for a component, not for someone who controls the machine. Structure encourages these people to participate deeper, but never invites them into the layer where value is retained. Horizontal competition seals the trap. You're made to compete with people like you, same level, same role, fighting for thin slices of cash flow, while the structure above remains untouched. You look sideways, not upward. When money doesn't stay, the system teaches you the final lie, but that the failure was personal, not enough. You didn't try hard enough, you weren't smart enough, That's the story you tell yourself, But the problem was never effort. It was the architecture of the position you occupied. Because you believe the problem is personal, you keep investing in yourself for a structure that quietly extracts value from you. You improve, refine, optimize, and the system simply becomes better at using you. The end result is a life full of motion and empty of accumulation. You create value constantly, but it gets recorded elsewhere. You strengthen cash flow, but you are not where it pools. You are the channel, not the reservoir. And until you recognize that you don't lack value, you lack position, you will remain living proof of a cold law in the world of money. Effort isn't wrong, it's just usually placed in the wrong location. The rich mechanism doesn't begin with earning more, it begins with leaking less. The structurally rich don't ask, how do I create more value? They ask, where is value being retained? They don't accelerate inside the flow. They locate where the flow is forced to slow. And at that slowing point, money accumulates. In the rich mechanism, position matters more than capability. Not because capability is useless, but because capability only matters when it sits inside the correct architecture. The rich understand something most people never see. Money doesn't live where work is hardest. It lives where the root decision is made. Pricing power, distribution rights, licensing authority, ownership layers. These don't feel like labor, but they generate retention force. And money, like any flow, pools where force exists. Those operating the rich mechanism have a different relationship with participation. They don't try to be everywhere. They aim to be irreplaceable at one point. They remove themselves from roles the system can optimize, standardize, and replicate. Instead, they climb into positions where ambiguity is high, dependence is real, and replacement is expensive, where absence can't be handled by a procedure. This mechanism demands a sacrifice most people won't make, abandoning the moral comfort of hard work. The structurally rich often look like they do less, not because they're lazy, but because they moved effort from operations to control. They don't chase tasks, they design tasks to pass through them. From the outside it looks unfair, but money isn't designed to reflect fairness, it reflects structure. In this mechanism, absence stops being a risk and becomes a signal. When others must wait for your decision, you are correctly placed. When everything continues without you, you are outside. The rich measure power not by hours of presence, but by the scale of disruption if they withdraw. And that disruption determines accumulation. Once you see money through this lens, the question changes. Not what else can I do, but where am I standing inside the structure that retains money? Only when you shift from where flow accelerates to where flow is retained, does the rich mechanism begin to operate, quietly, without morality, with cold precision. Machiavellian engineering. If you still believe money is governed by fairness, every strategy ahead is wasted. Machiavelli didn't teach people how to be better. He taught them how to become impossible to ignore. That is the core principle of monetary structure. Money doesn't search for the deserving. It is forced through points where no detour exists. Machiavellian engineering is not doing more. It is designing a position money cannot bypass. Principle 1. Control beats execution. Executors make systems run. Controllers decide where they run. If you live on the execution side, no matter how skilled, you are still a cost. If you live on the control side, even if average, you are central. Money doesn't reward the best worker. It rewards the final decision holder. Principle 2. Bottlenecks matter more than scale. A small choke point controlling a large flow is always worth more than M. Passive contribution in a place with no retention force. Signatures. Approval gates. Technical standards. Licenses. Platforms. They look static, but everything behind them moves because of them. The poor expand effort. The rich step into the choke point. Principle 3. Owning structure beats owning skill. Skills must be sold repeatedly. Structure needs to be owned once. When you own what others must pass through to reach markets, customers, capital, or legitimacy, money doesn't get persuaded, it gets compelled. Principle 4. Distribution beats production. Production creates value. Distribution decides who keeps it. Producers get replaced. Distributors get negotiated with. Money leans toward whoever it must ask permission to continue. If you don't control the exit route, you are enriching someone else with your discipline. Principle 5. Irreplaceability must be designed. No power position is accidental. It is built through scarcity, barriers, and high replacement cost. If your role can be fully described in a training document, it was never designed to retain money for you. It was designed to keep the system stable. Machiavelli understood this. Morality is discussed after structure is locked. The one who controls the game never needs to explain the outcome. The outcome justifies the position. Money operates the same way. It doesn't debate. It doesn't negotiate with effort. It obeys architecture. When you apply Machiavellian engineering, you stop trying to become the best person inside the system. You start becoming the part the system cannot function without. From that moment, money stops being something you chase. It becomes something structure forces to pass through you, whether you show up or not. Dark truths. There are truths that, once seen, make it impossible to sedate yourself with hard work. That's why most people avoid them. First truth. Money never asks who deserves. It asks one thing only: who controls the route? Morality, fairness, karma. These are narratives painted over a cold mechanism. Value moves toward control regardless of who created it. Second truth, the system doesn't exploit the weak, it utilizes them. Exploitation implies intent. Reality is colder. The system rewards obedience, effort, and self-improvement because they increase output without demanding power redistribution. Good workers aren't punished. They are held exactly where they are, long enough to run out of time. Third truth. Most financial advice is engineered to avoid disturbing structure. Skills, saving, mindset, discipline, all safe, all personal, all harmless to power. No one teaches ownership, exclusion rights, blocking rights, or distribution control, because that's where money actually lives. And talking about that means talking about power. Fourth truth, being paid is anesthesia. It makes you feel like you're moving forward while you're being compensated to stay in place. A salary isn't a reward for long-term value. It's the cost of keeping you participating. That's why the steadily paid rarely accumulate, and the controllers never explain themselves. Fifth truth, the most uncomfortable: if you don't control structure, you are reinforcing someone else's. Every hour you work, you are strengthening a machine that was never designed to retain value for you. Every idea you implement, every problem you solve, if it happens inside an architecture you don't own, you are strengthening that architecture, not yourself. There is no neutral position. Either you build leverage for yourself or you become leverage for someone else. And here is the final blade of this section. Money doesn't punish you for being weak. It ignores you because you are not in a necessary position. That says nothing about your human worth. But it says everything about your economic placement. Once you understand this, the anger fades. You stop resenting money. You stop blaming yourself. What remains is one unavoidable question. What structure am I standing inside? And who actually retains value there? From this moment forward, you cannot return to the old thinking. Because once you see the architecture behind cash flow, every comforting story about effort begins to sound like noise. Money, precise, indifferent, non-negotiable, will keep doing what it always does, flow toward structure and leave everything else behind. Real-world scenarios. This isn't abstract philosophy. The mechanism shows itself clearly wherever money moves. Corporations. The value creator is rarely the value retainer. Engineers build systems. Operators keep machines running. Managers optimize performance. But money doesn't stop there. It climbs upward to ownership, pricing power, and allocation rights. When an engineer leaves, work slows and continues. When an operator leaves, a replacement procedure activates. But when the holder of contracts, signature authority, or equity withdraws, cash flow reroutes. Not because they were smarter, but because they stood where money's route was decided. The creator economy, creators produce content, ideas, cultural value. Platforms control distribution, algorithms, and access to audiences. Money doesn't follow creative labor. It follows the point that decides who is seen, when, and under what conditions. A creator can work for 10 years and remain unstable. A platform tweaks an algorithm, and an entire river of money shifts overnight. Not because the platform is more talented, because it is structure, finance, and investing. Here the law becomes absolute. Operators manage complexity. Investors control capital. When capital stands still, everything freezes. When capital moves, everything must adjust. An operator can work 16 hours a day. The capital controller can stay silent for 6 months. But when they speak, terms change, valuations change, entire futures change. Money doesn't ask who worked harder. It asks who controls allocation. 3 arenas, 1 rule. Money does not follow labor, talent, or sacrifice. It follows control points. Those inside structure can be absent and still receive flow. Those outside structure can be present non-stop and still be bypassed. This is what people cannot tolerate. The world does not reward pure contribution. It rewards position that creates dependence. Once you see this operating in real systems, you stop asking why you try so hard and don't move. You realize you are standing where money passes, not where it stays. Power shift. The power shift does not come from working harder, learning another skill, or optimizing yourself one more time. It comes from accepting a cold truth. The problem isn't you, it's where you're standing. And if that position isn't deliberately changed, it will hold you there until the system no longer needs you. Power shift begins when you stop asking how well am I performing, and start asking if I withdraw, what actually gets clogged. That question is uncomfortable. It strips away ego stories. It dissolves self-sedation. Some roles look important, but carry zero force. Some positions are quiet, invisible. Yet without them, the entire cash flow reroutes. From that moment, your posture changes. You stop trying to be recognized inside the structure. You start positioning yourself inside it. Not where the crowd stands, but where there are no detours. Not where effort is greatest, but where permission is required. This is the difference between a participant and someone the system must negotiate with. Power shift also demands discomfort, leverage positions. 8. Tension. They require refusal. They enforce exclusion. They turn you into friction inside a system that prefers smoothness. That's why most people avoid them. They choose pleasant presence over weighty absence. They choose being liked over being needed. When this shift happens, money behaves differently. Not because you're more deserving, but because the structure around you has changed. Cash flow no longer glides past. It must stop, wait, ask, not because you dominate, but because you stand where the system cannot bypass. That is real power shift, not moving faster inside the same game, but changing your square on the board, not chasing reward, but becoming the point money must pass through. From there, money stops being pursued, structure guides it to you, quietly, precisely, without emotion. Final blade. Here is the truth that cannot be softened. Money never betrayed you, because it was never on your side. It doesn't care how hard you try, how much you know, or how patient you are. It follows structure. And structure has no emotion, no memory, no morality. It has roots. If money doesn't stay with you, it isn't because you lack value. It's because you're standing outside the architecture that retains value. You can stand close, touch it, make it flow faster. But if you're not inside, it will never accumulate for you. Don't ask why you do so much and still don't escape. Don't ask why others look ordinary yet keep the cash flow. The answer is already visible. They aren't better. They are positioned correctly. And in this world, position always defeats effort. From this moment, you have one real choice. Either keep investing in yourself inside a structure that doesn't retain money and call it persistence, or face the architecture, locate where value is held and move yourself there, even if it costs safety, approval, and the comfort in. Myth of fairness. Money will not change to accommodate you. It doesn't need to. It already has structure. The only question left is whether you are lucid enough to change your position, because money will keep flowing. It always flows. And if you are not where the flow is retained, you can watch it for a lifetime, and it will never stop for you.